Hello, and welcome to the Good Time Gal podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Peluffo. Thank you for listening and watching all of it. Today on the podcast, we have Brennan Tasseff, which is very exciting. This one was a doozy, huh, Fonz? Oh, wow. It was. Yeah, we're so glad he doesn't drink anymore. Good God. Sometimes there's a few people on this podcast where you're like, oh, you made the right life choice. But it's very funny. He's very sweet. And he has a podcast called Ex Drinking Buddy. I've been on it. It's great. Follow him on Instagram at Brennan T Comedy. And he has a one-man show coming out on his Patreon. You can find everything on his Instagram, all the links and all that good stuff. But it's coming out May 31st? May 31st. We challenged him to see how many times he could drop the info during the podcast. And he did a great job, I would say. It is well publicized. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Please watch. Please enjoy. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. I guess it... I just burped. Did you hear that? It wasn't a burp. It was a hiccup. It was like, my body just reacted. Anyway, I'm so sorry. But keep it in because, I'll never lie to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me at Caitlin Peluffo. Follow the pod at Good Time Gal Pod on Instagram. I have a couple new sets out. I have a Comedy Central digital set, and I also have a Don't Tell comedy set. If you would be so kind as to go to YouTube and watch those, share those, leave a nice comment, that would be great. It really helps the algorithm and it helps people find me. And then I'm also going to be on the road a bunch. Check out my link tree. I'm coming everywhere. Wow, I could have said that completely different. But thank you so much for watching. Come see me on the road. I love you very much. And please enjoy Brennan Tasseff. Hi, Brennan Tasseff.
Hi, Caitlin Peluffo.
I didn't just ask how to say your last name
Not
2
at
seconds
all.
ago. Thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited. You're wearing the shirt, Ex Drinking Buddy podcast. I've been on that podcast.
You have been on this podcast.
Yes,
this
it's
is
very fun.
Yes, this is my podcast, and then I'm actually promoting the one-man show of the same name, which is very confusing.
Yes,
and terrible idea.
No,
marketing
it's good.
wise.
No, I think marketing it's good.
Yeah, then people kind of see that, and they're just like, "Oh, this guy used to drink." I've made a mistake though, because now I've embedded myself into sobriety.
Yeah. So you can never make a mistake.
I can never fall off the wagon.
Nope, that's your whole brand.
Yeah, that's the whole thing now.
Oh my God. See, I'm just like, I'm a degenerate. That's how I have branded myself. So if I ever do anything that's not degenerate, people are like, you're a hero.
Yeah. And then if you do something that is degenerate, people are like, yeah, that's Caitlin. We all know Caitlin.
She already admitted to doing that 6 times. Okay.
Like getting arrested outside of Mexico.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course.
Men do listen. Isn't that nice?
Absolutely. I don't just hear you. I hear you.
Yes, I appreciate it. Yeah, I did. I've said that story many times. I know. Your mom. I mean, the fact that I am still alive is insane. And I have both kidneys.
Yes.
But Brennan, we're not talking about me. No.
Sorry. So used to.
How dare you?
So used to hosting.
Oh my God. Well, welcome. I'm the host now.
Look at me. I am the host now.
Yeah, it's not going to be better. It's not getting better. But where are you from?
Originally, Florida. I'm a Florida boy, which is why all the stories make sense in retrospect. I grew up in Daytona.
Daytona. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's been like,
the 386,
Daytona.
Baby. Shouts out, 386.
Oh, God, don't do that. Don't take that out. Whatever that was, just don't. A lot of hand gesturing. What are you, Steve Austin? Is it Stone Cold Steve Austin?
That's
thank
316,
you.
But yes, very good reference.
Okay, thank you so much.
Do you ever, well, you're not big into wrestling, but I know, I know a lot of comics that are. Whenever you break a glass, you just think Stone Cold. That reference is lost on you.
Absolutely not.
So yeah,
I have no idea.
Grew up in Daytona, Dirt-tona as we affectionately call it. And then I went to South Florida to play college football.
Oh, what'd you play in football?
I played at Florida Atlantic University. Go Owls.
This is a lot of repping. I mean,
I'm
not
from
even
the South.
5 minutes.
I'm from the South.
I mean, just a lot
That's
of
all we do.
Mouth noises and hand gestures. And none of it is sexual. I don't understand. This is very strange, but okay.
Yeah, I played fullback down there because it was one of the only schools that still ran that kind of an offense, and all the other schools were throwing it all over the places back in like 2006, 7.
Yeah,
and so
everybody knows that.
I went, the spread
Lombardi.
offense. Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, everybody remembers the birth of the spread offense.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, right.
It just sounds like a football name.
It does.
Doesn't it sound like a football game?
100% it does.
I mean, I think he thinks he drinks like a football game.
Hey-o.
Hello, I got your ass. I'm getting
Burn.
it. Yeah.
Clip
it. Yeah. Women's rights are important. Okay. Should be universal. Anyway, just sneaking it in. But okay, so you grew up in Daytona. Was you high class, low class?
Upper middle class.
Upper middle. Yeah. Okay.
Hey-o.
This guy's got money. Very fun.
Yeah, it was very much a product of the it's not your perception, the people's perception of you is the reality. So whether we should have been there or not, we were there.
Yeah. 2-story house?
No.
One story.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
right.
gated community.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Gated, like you had a guard?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my God. You had a code at the gate?
No.
Oh.
This is human interaction. You have to talk to the guard. God. If you lived there, though, you had a clicker.
Yeah.
Old
okay.
school clicker.
That's nice.
Yeah.
All right. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Highfalutin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it were.
Yes. Good for you. Brothers, sisters?
Yeah. So one older brother, 6 years older, Mensa level genius, very smart man, got
Jesus
a PhD
Christ.
from Cornell.
Oh.
Yeah. Tried
In what?
Chemical engineering.
Jesus Christ. It's not even like it's philosophy.
No,
you know?
No.
Like it doesn't count? No, it counts.
I was going to say it. I'm glad you said it.
No, I'll say it. I'll put your brother down whenever I want. But no.
Yeah, so older brother, a lot older than me though, very popular, played sports, then went to the University of Florida for undergrad, then Cornell for his PhD, and then moved to France to work for a nonprofit to try and cure cancer, and then that didn't go well, just because obviously it's not cured. And
no, he didn't do it?
No. And then he ended up going to work for Procter & Gamble later on in his life. But then,
I know Procter & Gamble.
Everybody does.
I don't. I don't know who Procter & Gamble.
If you brush your teeth, P&G. If you brush your teeth, you use soap to clean your clothes. They make all that stuff.
Oh, so he was thriving during the pandemic.
Yeah. So if you ever look on the back of anything pharmaceutical or like toiletry wise, you'll see a P&G on most everything.
Oh my God.
That's the company he worked for.
Is he like rolling in the dough now?
No. So he quit that company to move to Spain to
España.
Yeah. His wife is from Spain. So he quit all that and moved out there to live his life with her.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's so sweet. It's very romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What does he do now? This podcast is now about your brother.
He's gonna love it.
Yeah.
But
drinking wine with Coke, you know?
Yeah.
That's they do in Spain.
Oh, I thought you meant like Coke. Okay.
No. Okay. Yeah, Florida. I forgot you're from Florida. That was my fault. I should have known better.
But yeah, so he moved out there for love, and he's just he's working for a startup now.
Okay.
And then I have an older sister who's an executive in marketing back in Jacksonville.
Wow.
And my twin sister is she works part-time at like a school with her daughters, and then she does baby boot camp. And this was a person who was super non-competitive, like used to get mad at me because I was hyper-competitive growing up. And then after she had her second kid or her first kid, my baby niece, she was like, oh, I want to get in shape. And I talk about this on stage, but then I would go back. I was a former Division I athlete.
Yeah.
And then we would go home for things and people would be like, hey, Brennan, if you want to lose that little bit of belly fat, you should talk to your sister. And I was like, I'm a Division I athlete.
I'm supposed to have this belly fat.
I choose to eat like
fullback.
this. Yeah. But yeah, so she got into that, and then she took off with like baby boot camp and all that, doing workout, like 5 a.m. workouts with these moms. And I was like, you've lost your mind.
Wow. I'm sensing a real division here.
No.
Between you and your sister and your twin sister, and then the older two who are just like brain nerds. And then you guys are just like, my body is my temple.
Well, she's like that now, but she still likes to party. Let's not get it twisted. I come from a family of popular party kids. Now, I was never that popular. I kind of stuck to myself when I used to get bullied a lot. So I kind of stuck to myself. And then
what'd you get bullied for?
I didn't hit my growth spurt till my junior year in high school. So I was short and fat.
Short and tip.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were sweet, though.
Roly-poly.
You little sweet boy?
Yeah, you got to be a sweet boy when you're getting the shit kicked out of you all the time. You got to figure something out.
You're like, yeah, you're kicking my ass, but I'm nice. Huh? That's pretty good.
That's where this personality comes from. You ever seen super hot people try to do stand-up? It's like, you have nothing. Like, get out of here.
I know. It's like you watch it, and then when a hot person is good at stand-up, you're like, no, fuck me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you just get everything, huh?
Yeah. We're just going to skate through this, huh?
And then you find out that they have like a dead dad, and you're like, ah, okay,
thank God.
got it, found
Thank
it.
God.
Okay, there it is.
Some sort of
we all have trauma.
But yeah, And then I remember everyone in my family, like as far as my siblings, they were like popular and partied and stuff. And I never really did any of that. In fact, I saw how alcohol like flipped certain people, like just around me, like whether it was friends or, family or like, my parents got divorced when I was 12. So whether, I just saw it like, especially with my ex stepdad, he was like really like hostile when he drank and stuff. So it's like, oh, I'll never drink. Like drinking is bad. I was like straight edge all through high school. Yeah. Well, probably another reason I was bullied.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm never going to do that. And then I was talking to List about this when he was on my show, but because he had the same kind of thing where he's like, that's something they do. I don't do that.
Yeah.
And then the first time I got drunk was at my dad's house. My twin sister was having like a party. And so she had like all this beer in the fridge and 99 bananas. And I remember the first time I did a shot of it, I was like, all my anxiety, all that like everything just went away. And I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I get it. I was wrong this whole time, you guys. You were right. You guys were right.
That's so funny because you probably took that 99 bananas, then you hit your growth spurt and you're just like, here comes the monster.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what happened. I started drinking late in my senior year. I was 17 when I graduated. So around 17, 18. And I loved it, but I was also still focused. I was playing football and then I went to college to play football. So as an addict, because I'm a natural addict, whether it's comedy now or like the gym or whatever, whatever I find, I get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And so at the time, because I was still playing football and stuff, I took basically a half a year off in between high school and college. And I had my own place. I moved out at 17 and we would have parties and stuff. Yeah.
Why'd you move out at 17?
Well, I graduated at 17 and then I was just kind of like, well, I'm not going right to college, but I don't want to live at home. And it's Daytona. Like I was working in a restaurant at the time. Like you can find a place to live.
That seems crazy.
So I graduated at 17 and I think it sounds better saying I moved out at 17. Realistically, I was probably 18 at this point. Like, it was a couple months after I graduated. And then I just moved out onto my own for like the next 6 months, almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was the only one post-graduation that had his own place. So, in high school, when everyone comes back to visit, if you want to have a party or something, it's always at somebody's house. Well, I had my own place.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to do it with the parents around and stuff. Yeah. So long weekends, spring breaks, people would come back and it's right in the heart of Daytona. It was the party house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a mess.
If I remember correctly, you've been arrested a few times.
8, yeah.
8? Oh my God, that beats Andy Haynes. Andy Haynes, you should have him on your podcast.
Oh, definitely.
He's been arrested, I think it was 6. And he's a top 5 of this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have him on. He's fantastic.
Definitely.
But, okay, 8.
Yeah.
What's arrest number 1?
So arrest number 1 actually came when I went. There's a big gap between starting to drink and actually getting in trouble. So like I said, because I had football and everything, we would party like crazy, but it was only like once, maybe twice a week. Because, you're getting up at 5 a.m. for workouts. You played sports.
I played a sports.
You played a sports?
Yeah, I played a few of sports. Yeah, soccer.
Yes,
I remember. Yeah. And as soon as you quit soccer, you're just like, well, I'll just get drunk all the time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So it was after I got my 8th concussion. And
Jesus Christ! How are you still walking?
Lot of stuff. A lot of neurologist visits. A lot of stuff like that.
I'm surprised you're not dead.
Yeah,
and you're talking full sentences to me.
I talk about that in my one-man show premiering May 31st on Patreon.com/Brennan Tasseff.
God, look at this
about
guy.
How I'm still alive,
moving and shaking.
Hey. But yeah. So I got my 8th concussion at practice one day, and then basically, long story short, I just couldn't play anymore. I had to medically white shirt, basically retire from football.
Oh, well, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean,
hindsight now, because this is actually shortly after all the CTE stuff was coming out. Yes. The NFL was being sued. This was like coinciding with that time. So back, if it would have happened 3 years prior, they would have been like, rub some dirt on it. Like you play fullback, you're supposed to get concussed. But because all this medical stuff was coming out, they were like, hey, you don't start. You barely touch the field for special teams. So we don't think this is a good idea for you to pursue this anymore.
God bless them.
Yeah, that was. But then I lost my identity because from high school, like 7th grade, I started playing Pop Warner. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you a little secret. I hated football when I first started playing. I hated it because I didn't hit my growth spurt or anything. And I was like this little chubby kid just getting the shit kicked out of him on the field. But then finally, once I hit my growth spurt and I like came into my muscles and everything, I was like, oh, this is fun now.
Yeah.
And so my identity,
now I'm winning.
Yeah. Now
I'm just losing teeth over
I
here.
can kick the shit out of other people.
Yeah,
This is great.
Yeah.
I
am the bully now.
Look, I am the bully now. But yeah, so when I lost football, I had lost my whole life. Because even in college, I was the fun-loving, happy-go-lucky football player. Like I was the approachable one. Which we see in comedy all the time. There's certain comics that people are fans of, but they just won't go talk to them because they're scared. Well, when you go to school, like FAU's not a huge school, it's not the University of Florida, but still it's a D1 school.
Yeah.
So a lot of the student body would be, kind of cautious about approaching because you don't want to look like an idiot. But I was the fun-loving guy. Everyone was like, oh, that's Brennan, and he just happens to play football.
Yeah.
But for me, that was my entire identity.
Yeah.
So when that stopped, I was like, same thing you were talking about, where I was like, I guess I'm just going to drink and do drugs all the time now because I have all this free time.
Yeah.
I remember I gained 100 pounds in 3 months.
Did you talk to your sister?
No. Well, no, at the time she had not had her first child yet, so she was still running and gunning. Yeah. She wasn't the monster she is today. She was still out partying at this point. But yeah, because my move was I would get hammered, and then at 3 a.m, I would go late night Wendy's window. I don't know if you remember when Wendy's, one of the first ones to do it, open late, and Taco Bell was shortly thereafter followed suit.
Yeah.
So I would go at like 2 or 3 a.m, stack up on like $20 worth of food, which back then was a lot.
Yeah, that's like 6 Frosties.
Yeah, yeah.
And then chicken nuggets.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 Frosties were only it's like $7.
Yeah.
So then I would come home and just scarf it all down and then pass out.
Oh my God.
So within 3 to 6 months, I had gained about 100 pounds.
Oh.
And I was just ripping every day, just waking up, doing shots, going to class, having a ball.
Yeah.
Thinking I had one of my best friends, Daniel Barricat, who's been on my show before because he was the original drinking buddy.
Yeah.
That's where the show came from and everything. I remember he would be like, no, man, I've got like a final tomorrow. And I'd be like, what time? He goes, it's an 11 a.m. class. So then by like 11:50, I'd be at his dorm room, like with a bottle of rum and be like, you ready? You ready? You ready?
Jesus. Oh God.
I was the party starter though.
Yeah.
It was
Florida, you were probably king.
Oh yeah. It was definitely one of those things where, because my alcoholism hadn't turned into what it had turned into. Because I'm in recovery now. I've been sober. I'll be sober 5 years on May 31st, which happens to be the same day that my
Congratulations.
one-man show drops on patreon.com/Brennan Tasseff.
Jesus Christ.
That's the last one.
No. I think you can get it in 2 more times.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Accepted. But yeah, so I wasn't like a full-blown alcoholic because at this point I was still like maintaining my job and I was still going to class. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And there's a line in a movie that I really like that kind of sums it all up, which is doomed youth is very romantic. Like when you're in your 20s and you're out partying and you're showing a class hungover or still drunk, like everyone's like, oh, this fucking guy. Yeah. Like, oh, look at him.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, it just it got worse.
Yeah.
It got way worse.
It's not cute anymore.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. People start to worry. They're like, uh-oh. This is, oh boy.
I remember.
We're at the dentist. What is happening?
I didn't think I was going to get the laughing gas, so I did it myself, Doc. I remember there was a few times when Daniel and his now wife, then girlfriend, they graduated and they got regular jobs. And I took a little longer to graduate, obviously. The Burt Kreischer model.
Yeah.
And they would have work friends over for like barbecues on the weekend. And they would call me because they knew I would break the ice with everyone. Like I was like, I'd get everybody going. And if you felt awkward or nervous, like that's why I've been pretty good at hosting on the podcast because I can make people, feel at home and stuff. So they would call me up knowing full well I would fly off the rails.
Yeah.
But they would call me up. I would always show up with my backpack with a bottle of rum and a bottle of Diet Coke in it. And I would go up. So say there was 10 people at this party.
Yeah.
I would go up to everyone individual and be like, let's do a shot. Like, we got to do a shot. Come on.
Yeah.
We just met. Let's do a shot.
Oh, God.
And of course, everyone's like, yeah, we're in our early 20s. We're barely professionals. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But there was like 10 people. So I'd get everyone to do 1 or 2 shots. But I would do that with them.
Yeah.
So now I'm at like 15 or 20 shots.
Yeah.
And Karen, love her to death, talk to her about this all the time. She would take me by the hand, walk me downstairs to their spare room, put me in the bed, put the bottle of rum next to the bed and turn on the TV and then just walk back upstairs.
Oh, God.
Almost like I was like, call them in, get it going and then put them away.
Oh,
it was
God.
that became my life. Like towards the end of my college career was like the only time I would get invited to things was so people could get like the party going.
Yeah.
And God forbid if I were to wake up from that blackout while the party was still happening, because then it would be a mess.
Really?
Yeah, because I'd go upstairs and be like, "Hey, you guys."
Oh, no.
Like, Papa's home.
Oh, God. Papa?
Yeah, Papa.
I mean,
Yeah,
no one
so it
likes
was-
Papa at a party.
No.
No.
So it got bad, and then I left South Florida, and once I finished with FAU, I left, and then it was literally just a sustained haze of just drinking, drunk, or hungover
Yeah.
for the next 7 or 8 years.
And when you left Florida, that's when you started getting arrested?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I totally skipped over the question.
Please apologize. I want to hear it more,
I'm so
especially from a man.
I'm so sorry.
Apologize. Fonzie, you're next.
I didn't mean to. It was an accident. Yeah. So when I left college football and started drinking like crazy is when like the cops would show up to my dorm room.
Mm-hmm.
And at FAU, I've talked about this on some podcasts, but at FAU, they're not Florida Atlantic Police.
Mm-hmm.
They are Boca Raton police officers that are contracted out by the school. So they're real cops. This isn't like at some schools, it's like, rent a cop
Yeah.
situation, and then they call the real police if things get out of hand. These are real cops.
Yeah.
So you skip that middleman stage of like, should we call the police on
Yeah,
this guy?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
fine. He's just a little drunk. You go immediately to, we're arresting you.
Wow.
So the first time I ever got arrested, I was in my dorm room, ordered a pizza,
Mm-hmm.
went down to pick it up. And I was always a quiet drunk in the sense that I would normally just sit in my room and watch TV.
Yeah.
But I guess I had gotten some noise complaints because the TV was too loud or something,
Mm.
or I was yelling or something. I don't remember.
I like that you don't know.
No, I have no. The only thing I remember from the first time I got arrested was the cop showed up at my dorm room, and I was screaming at the cop like from the door because I was pre-law, so I thought I knew everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm screaming at the cop from my doorway, and then I was in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And then I was arrested. For just disturbing the peace.
Yeah.
Drunk and disorderly.
Okay. All right. That doesn't seem so bad.
No. A lot of them were. It was out of the 8 times I'd been put in handcuffs. A lot of them were drunk and disorderly. The big ones were my first DUI, my second DUI, my violation of probation for the first DUI. Those were the 3 where it was like, oh, this is a bad situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. The rest of them a lot of them were either, so out of the 8 times I've been arrested, 6 times I've been fully booked and incarcerated. And then 4 times I've actually stayed longer than like a night or 2.
Really?
Yeah. It's not a long period of time, but it's like, like a week here, 10 days there. And then 3.5 months was the longest I ever spent.
3.5 months.
Yeah.
Was that the probation?
Yeah, that was the violation of
Oh,
probation.
boy.
Yeah, it was 9 counts. They tried to book me on violation of probation.
Mhm.
It was interesting though, because I was pre-law. When I had left school, a lot of my friends went to law school.
Yeah.
And then I was out running and gunning, and then I went to rehab on my own accord because it's a long story. But if you really want to know the story, you can check it out in my one-man show premiering on May 31st on patreon.com.
One down.
Brennan Tasseff.
One more to go.
But I
it just makes for good podcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
but I ended up, so I get arrested on my way to an AA meeting. Wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
What?
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
I was in it was the town we were driving through in Jacksonville. I was like, no crime. So the cops just sit on the side of the road and they'll just pull people over.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Now I knew I had the warrant because I had gotten my first DUI and I had 6 months into a year sentence of probation.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I graduated. I'm done at FAU. I'm leaving. And my probation officer was like, well, you have to do all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And then the day we went to move, the U-Haul, I literally was in the U-Haul with my roommate, came into the probation office, handed her the paperwork. She goes, oh no, you filled out this section wrong. And now you're going to have to go in front of the judge anyway. And I was like, you never said that. And I was like, okay, no problem. Got in the U-Haul and just left. So I skipped out on 6 months of probation. So I knew I had a warrant out for my arrest. I was aware that there was a warrant out for my arrest.
Because you made it happen.
Yeah. But that's the thing is your first DUI is a 3rd-degree misdemeanor. It's literally the lowest level of crime before
tell them
a written
that.
arrest.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a 3rd-degree misdemeanor.
Don't even worry about it.
In the state of Florida, it's literally a slap on the wrist.
That's why it's Florida. That's why people live there.
Actually, I think it's a little more difficult now. I think you have to have a breathalyzer in your car now, even for your first offense, which back in my day, that was not a thing.
Oh God. So there's a red flag, people. Ladies, if you're going on a first date, you sit in the car and there's a breathalyzer, fucking leave. Okay?
Yeah.
Leave the situation.
I had a bit about it, but that was the funny thing about dating when I had that in my car, because a lot of times
You did have it?
So I had it, yeah, on my second DUI I had it. But the fun thing about dating after you get a DUI and your license gets suspended is you have to Uber everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're going on a date on like a Friday night, you seem responsible. Like, no, I Ubered here.
Yeah.
But if they want to meet at like a Starbucks on a Tuesday afternoon, you have so much explaining to do.
Yeah.
Especially if it goes well and they're like, come back to my place. And you're like, where do you live? And they go, oh, it's up the road. Just follow me. And it's like, no, where exactly do you live?
Yeah.
I need an address.
Yeah, I'll hop in.
Yeah. Can I ride with you?
Yeah.
I feel dirty. I just bitted you. I feel dirty. I bitted you on your own show.
Oh, I didn't know it was a bit.
Yeah.
That's okay. I liked it. I think they liked it. Did you like it? See?
Sorry.
Fonzie, did you like it?
I'm sorry.
You could have just not told.
I
You could have
know.
just not said it. You could have just been. They would have found out when they
I
watched your
just- I
one-man
res-
show, which was on
Premieres May 31st. That's not, that doesn't count because
No.
you did it.
All right. damn it.
Patreon.com/Brennan Tasseff.
I just wanted you to know that I could play too.
At Brennan T Comedy on all social media.
Yeah, I'm here.
Come get at me. But yeah, so I skipped out on probation, then I go in front of the judge. But the fun thing was, this was 3 years after I had left. They finally caught me because they don't go after you; they just wait for you to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And so they asked for my license and registration, or they asked for my license because I was in the passenger seat, and I was like, I don't have a license. They go identification, and I said all this shit trying to be funny, but it didn't work. They got my ID. I said, this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Francis Scott Key says, I don't got to show you shit. And they didn't laugh. They just, no.
That's not fun. Is that a wrestling thing? What was that?
Francis Scott Key wrote the Declaration, or wrote the Star Spangled Banner. So I said, this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. The last line of the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
Francis Scott Key says, you're not brushed up on that.
Well, I understand, but why is that a joke?
I thought it would be funny. I thought it'd be like, oh, this guy knows history.
No.
We love him.
He's a cop in Jacksonville.
Hindsight, you're absolutely right, Caitlin. Didn't think of it that way.
They're pulling you over for a seatbelt violation.
That's true.
They have a quota.
As someone who minored in American history, I just thought everyone loved history as much as I did.
Not even a little bit. I only like the Star Spangled Banner when Whitney Houston is singing
Oh my
it.
God, so good.
I
So
mean,
good. Not Roseanne Barr. That was a mess.
I mean, God bless Roseanne.
Yeah, shouts
She's
out.
Just doing Roseanne.
Living on a nut farm.
Yeah. Nuts for nuts.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Oh, boy.
But it was fun because when I finally got transferred back to South Florida, law school also takes 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So when they pulled me out of the back of the courthouse in chains and an orange jumpsuit,
Jesus.
3 or 4 of my friends that I was in the pre-law society with were now working for the state prosecutor on the
Oh, my
Right.
God.
like right where Fonzie said. So I come out in shackles,
God.
and then I see 4 of my friends, and they go, Tasseff? And I was just like, hey guys, different life choices.
Yeah. You're like, seatbelt violation.
Yeah.
That's it.
You ended up doing the thing? You did the thing? You went all 3 years. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the original sentence was 9 months.
Mhm.
But luckily, they were basically they recused themselves from the case, but were character witnesses for me.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, so the judge dropped it to...
They're like, you don't understand. He would come with a backpack full of rum and Diet Coke.
he would
and
get
he
the
just
party going.
made us feel welcome in this home.
And I also, because I went to rehab on my own, because I had lost stand-up, which was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone to rehab on my own because I was like, that's the one thing in my life that I've always pursued.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I was younger, like when I was 12 and I first was introduced to it, I was like, oh, this is something that, because I was an anxious kid and I was a depressed kid. And I was like, oh, this is something that even for 30 minutes I can laugh.
Yeah.
Which was foreign to me at the time.
Mhm.
So I'd always had a special place in my heart for stand-up. And then I started in 2009, but I was just getting hammered.
Yeah.
Like every set. And I was trying to be like shock jock. I remember, thank God for Facebook memories. If you ever want to stay sober, God, look at those.
I know, right?
I had a Facebook status from like 2010, like shortly after I had started doing open mics. And it was like, I'm a comic. I'm supposed to be offensive. And I was like,
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
I deleted it. I clearly wiped it from
Yeah,
all
like,
memory banks.
I'm supposed to bring joy to people who
Yeah.
paid money to see me.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But at the time, I thought like, because I'm a very effeminate and sensitive boy. I'm a little sweet boy.
You're a little sweet boy.
A little sweet baby boy.
Oh.
But because I had played college football, and I think that had a lot to do with why I didn't like football early on, but because I had played football and I had this look of 6'1", 200, well, at the time, like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I'm supposed to be like, hey, right, guys?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Stick your finger in her butthole. Like
wow,
that
is that?
Like, I don't know. Like that.
Is that what boys say? I've never been in a male locker room. But I know, stick a finger in her butthole. Wow, you call it a butthole.
I used to get so uncomfortable in the locker room because guys, that's a thing, like locker room talk and stuff. And as someone who's raised majority by women, I would be like, guys, like, don't talk about her like that.
Yeah, but sometimes they, help you with your homework and have feelings.
Yeah.
And like, make you pancakes.
Did you end up fucking that girl last night? And I go, we made sweet, sweet love. I don't know what you're doing.
We smooched a little.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And then held hands until the sun came up.
The old days.
Back when that was enough.
I used to. So I was recently single before I met my current girlfriend. The woman I moved up to New York with, we ended up, breaking up. And so I was single for like 6 months in New York. And this is going to sound crazy because I know what I look like. But on like 3 or 4 of the dates, or excuse me, 3 separate women on the second or third date, all of them would go, hey, when do you make a move? Like, when do you start like getting aggressive? And I was like, I'm not that guy. I talked about this on stage again, but I
feel a bit of brewing.
No, it's not. I'm not going to do the bit. I'll tell the true story. There's a bartender at a comedy club that we all frequent. And they had told me, I'm trying to be as vague as possible. They had told me, hey, well, another comic was like, I think they have a crush on you. And I was like, you're out of your mind. And they were like, no, I really think they have a crush on you. So when me and my ex broke up, like within a short while, I had texted that person. And I was like, hey, just so you know, we broke up. And they said, whenever you want to fuck, you let me know.
Jesus.
Aggressive. Which immediately I'm on the defense. Like, I don't even like talking like this. But I was like, you know what?
Does your mother know you said that?
I'm 34. I need to be a man. I don't know why I thought that. So I was house sitting for a friend and I invited them over to the house and we were hanging out. This is how unmanly of a whatever term you want to. This is
aggressive.
How bad.
We'll just call it aggressive.
Yeah, this is how unaggressive I am.
Yeah.
We watched the entire movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey and 3 episodes of Impractical Jokers. Before I thought to myself, I have to make a move. I have to.
Oh, God.
And then I did because I want the move to be like how you see it in romantic comedies where you're walking and then you both stop and you catch eyes and you stare at each other. And then you go in for the kiss.
I'm so uncomfortable.
A lot of these women I've gone on dates with, they're just kind of like expecting me to like grab them and kiss. And I'm like, that's not how life works. Well, at least in my head, it doesn't.
No, you're like, you've got mail the whole time. We have to exchange emails for
I used to write
time.
my ex-fiance when I was in jail. I would write her every day and I would end it with the same line from A Knight's Tale. Love to the end with hope. That's how I would end every fucking letter.
What a pussy. Oh my God. Just
a bitch.
But I mean, to be fair, I love that movie. But God damn.
Hope guides me. It's what gets me through the night.
I just can't even.
Yeah, it was bad.
My God. May he rest, Heath Ledger.
Yes. Best Joker. I don't care what anybody says. Best Joker of all time.
Oh, yeah. That's undisputed, right?
Yeah. Right?
People think otherwise?
Some people say Jack Nicholson just because he was the original, but
no,
I disagree.
Sorry. I think even Jack Nicholson would be like, yeah, no, I got it started, but you
you killed it. You killed it.
They put me to bed in the bedroom with the bottle of rum next to my head. Then the party got started.
Callback. There
Thank
we go.
You.
Professional.
Thank you.
Kaylin Peluffo is a professional, goddammit.
Thank you so much. We are almost running out of time.
Are we?
Can you believe it? Well, we got a few more.
Yeah.
Are there any fun stories we should get to?
Well, I have fun stories and then I have like crazy dramatic stories. I cut my face open in a fight one time when I was drunk in college.
All right.
I was, like I said, I was bullied a lot as a kid and I refused to be bullied in college. I was like, I'm not going to be a punk. And I got into a wrestling match with a teammate at this big party we were having. I tore a shirt. He demanded the money for a shirt. I told him to fuck off and he slapped me in the face. Which I thought was the second most disrespectful thing you can do.
Yeah, that right behind spitting.
Yes.
Spitting on someone is the most disrespectful. Yes.
So I went into my dorm room and I got my little pocket knife, my little whip out Florida boy pocket knife. And
you were trying to kill this man.
I said, I got your money right here. And my teammates, because in my head, I was like, I'm not going to get bullied anymore. Like, it ruined my high school. Like, you can see, I've got all these scars from when I would self-harm because I didn't know, like, all my emotions were so, like, I just didn't know how to deal with all this stuff. So when I got to college, I was like, never, ever again. And so I pulled my knife out because, overreaction, maybe. And my teammates all grabbed me and they're like, calm down. And I took the knife and I put it to you can see the scar. I put it to my forehead and I went, I'll fucking kill you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you don't drink anymore.
No, yeah. That should have been the big one where it was like, I faked paralyzed once.
You faked paralyzed?
Yeah, I got really drunk. This is when I had gotten a settlement for $30,000 from a car accident. And this is when I moved back to Daytona and I was living alone. And I paid for my apartment 6 months in advance. So I was just like partying every day, blowing through all this money.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anyone in my family was or not my family, but anyone around me was taking my alcoholism seriously enough. And that's because I had cut everyone out of my life. I wasn't reaching out to anybody.
Yeah.
So one day I got this twisted idea that like if something terrible happened, everyone would have to give me attention.
Oh no.
And so I got really drunk and I looked off my balcony and I go, well, I'm not going to jump. That's crazy. So I walked downstairs and I laid under the balcony and I called 911 and I was like, I've fallen and I'm paralyzed.
Oh, fuck.
Because that's not as crazy.
Oh my God, Brennan.
They showed up. The EMT showed up. And the first thing the guy says is, hey kid, we do this for a living. We know how people fall. It's not like that. Because physics, when you jump from a place, your trajectory will push you further out.
Yeah.
But I literally laid right under the balcony. Thinking like, oh, maybe I had stumbled.
Oh my God, I love this.
And he goes, we'll take you to the hospital, but if they're going to keep you overnight, it's going to be like $10,000. And I just stood up like, it's a miracle.
Oh my God, he's Jesus. He's Jesus.
God bless you.
I am saved.
Yeah. What's another fun drunk story? I proposed to my ex-fiance and we went to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day. And I proposed in a Jacksonville Jaguars Paul Posluszny 51 jersey.
Oh God.
In shorts.
No.
Drunk out of my mind.
Did you have a ring?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had the ring. This is even more embarrassing and fun. So I've been a fan of Segura for a long time. And this is back in like 2014 when he was doing like comedy clubs. Before he was doing theaters and now arenas. And every time he'd come to Jacksonville, he'd play the Comedy Zone and I'd always go to see him. So I remember I DM'd him on Twitter. This is how long ago this was. If I can come on stage, saying it makes me want to vomit. If I can come on stage and propose to my girlfriend.
He said no.
He didn't respond.
God bless you, Tom Segura.
I think, because I host a show now, another podcast called The Power of How. And one of my co-hosts is Matt Fulstron, who opens for Tom all the time. Mm-hmm. And he knows all these stories about me. And it's weird to now be 1 degree of separation away from someone that I used to heckle.
No.
I was doing comedy, but I was like, oh, because I listened to that. This is 2012, 14, 15 range. But I was like, oh, because I do comedy.
Nope.
Like we're friends.
It'll be the right kind of heckle.
And I was so drunk. I was so basically I went to rehab in 13 and then I fell off the wagon. Like late 14, early 15. And when I fell off the wagon that time after rehab, I was like, I will not touch a stage drunk because I didn't want to go back to that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to get on stage until I can get sober and get my life together. So I took like 3 years off. But in that time, I still thought I was a comic.
Yeah.
So I'd go to see comics and get hammered and be like, true story. We were in line doing the meet and greet. And this is 2014. And my ex-fiance at the time goes, do you want a picture with Tom? And right in front of him, from me to you, I said, we basically do the same thing.
Oh, no.
I wanted to kill, just talking about these stories. I want to die. But I've been sober now for I'll have 5 years on May 31st, which ironically is the drop date for my one-man show. Patreon.com/Brennan Tasseff.
He did it, everybody. Clap him. Clap him.
I had to get that last one in.
I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy life. It's been a crazy adventure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Then I got sober, was rushed to the ER on my 30th birthday from severe alcohol poisoning, told by a doctor, you shouldn't be awake. You should definitely be dead. And then I was like, oh, party's over.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta stop.
I'm drinking differently than
Yeah.
other people.
And after everything I told you,
Mhm.
that being in the hospital was truly the time where I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like now it's caught up, because it's one thing to like, end up because I had been in the hospital before several occasions, but it's one thing to be like, the doctor literally walked in like with a stunned look and he goes, you should have been dead 3 hours ago.
Wow.
He's like, this is impossible. And then I, comics, I go, well, I've been training for this my whole life.
Yeah, of course. We can't turn it off.
Yeah. He goes, this isn't funny. And I was like, all right. I thought, a little bit. I thought I'd make a joke.
Well, kudos to you for like almost dying and not being like, see, my liver's the bomb. This is what I was put on this earth to do.
I went totally the other, because I had incidents like that before where I was like, see, I'm untouchable. If God wanted me dead, I'd be dead. I was like, I'm untouchable.
What was one of those stories?
Oh, so I had... So I don't know if you know this, but alcohol fucks with your brain. And after I had gotten all these concussions and I left football, I had moved after college to Oklahoma City. So this is after I spent all the money from the settlement.
Yeah.
I moved up to Oklahoma City with my cousin in 2013 because he was doing stand-up up there. And he's like, dude, you can get on stage like every night. Like it's fishing with dynamite in Oklahoma City because their scene was so small.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll go up there and do comedy. And I remember I was at work one day and had a seizure at the restaurant. And I got rushed to the hospital and I was throwing up, not bile. Everyone goes, oh, it was bile. When you are so severely dehydrated and you give yourself alcohol poisoning, you will throw up your stomach acid. It's black. It's like tar. And it's so painful because it's acid. It closes your throat. Your esophagus literally will swell up. So I'm in the ambulance getting rushed to the hospital, just throwing up stomach acid like onto myself, onto everybody else. And that was one of those times where they literally sent me home like the next day. And I was like, nothing can kill me. I am the Terminator. We are going to do it.
I will not die.
But then, like I said, once I turned, that was when I was in my 20s, like mid-20s. Once I turned 30 and that was happening, I was like, dude, like figure it out.
This is sad.
And to bring it full circle, I was 3 months into being sober and I called, and this is going to get a little depressing, but it has a happy ending. I called my sponsor and I said, listen, man, if my life is now working 2 jobs, going to the gym every day and a meeting every day, you can have it back. I don't want it because I hadn't gotten back on stage. I was still in my hiatus. And he goes, dude, you have to find something that you are, one, you need to help people, but 2, you have to find something you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. He goes, what about stand-up? He goes, you were really into that and then you just stopped. And I got back on stage and I say this all the time and people kind of scoff, but I was like, oh, comedy saved me because getting back on stage and now being able to have all those crazy stories to talk about on stage. Yeah. It's a double barrel, baby. One, we're making people laugh and we're doing the thing, but also people are like, I fucking relate to this guy. I can do it too. Hell
at
yeah.
That. Look at, so then it was not for nothing.
Not for nothing. And huge goal of mine. Just want to get on Kimmel, not Fallon, but Kimmel, because my ex watches that, and I want her to be laying next to her new husband and be like, "Fucking, I was engaged to that guy." Yeah.
She'll still think she dodged a bullet.
Spiteless. The things we do for spite.
Women don't look backwards.
I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
I do all the time. Yeah. I literally live. In AA, people always go, "Oh, my worst day sober is better than my best day drunk," and I go, "Fucking losers, man." Yeah. I had great days drunk.
I know. I'm not completely sober, but I am sober. I'm not drinking at the moment. Yeah. But it's not, I don't know if it's forever. Anyway, it's my own journey. Okay.
Yeah. Don't judge it.
But like I'm going to Italy in October. And
Italia.
Italia. And all I want to do is sit there and drink a fucking Aperol spritz. Yeah. Just be like that. I want to get to that point where I can just sit and enjoy a fucking afternoon.
I say it's so funny because when I watched the movie at the time, Old School, and Frank the Tank, Will Ferrell's character, and everyone's like, ha ha ha, it's so funny. And now I'm like, oh, like I know the movie's not layered, it's a dumb comedy, but in my head, that's like the most layered thing because he literally is like, I can't. And then when he does, he just turns into this other person. I tell people all the time, I go, because no one in New York has ever seen me drunk, which is awesome, knock on wood.
Yeah.
God, I can just imagine one day me falling off the wagon and showing up at the cellar like, hey, Liz, I'm here.
Oh, God. No, don't do that. No. Don't do that.
But it's so funny because like that's exactly what it was like. Like I would tell myself, like, I'm not going to drink. And then as soon as it would just hit my lips, I'd be like, let's fucking go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the athlete in us, you know. We're
I know.
competitors.
I know. Yeah. If we're going to drink, we're going to drink all of it.
We're apex predators, you know. That sounded bad.
Well, Brennan, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, at Brennan T Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com, and the One Man Show.
One Man Show, when's it coming out?
Ex Drinking Buddy premieres May 31st on Patreon, patreon.com/Brennan Tasseff. Put it behind the paywall because then I can still shop it to festivals.
There we go. And also, go check out his podcast. I was on it. Go
Ex
look at
Drinking
that.
Buddy. Yeah.
Go look at that episode. We had fun.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
And then
it was awesome.
I also had Steven Rogers on.
Sweet Steve.
Sweet Steve.
Sweet Steve.
Joe List, Emma Willman, Ian Laura, Josh Adam
Emma
Myers.
Willman's.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Her
great.
episode was awesome.
I know.
Natalie
You wouldn't
Cuomo.
think.
I'm just naming people who are past at big clubs.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
We did it.
We did it.